Astrobot has been getting lots of recognition for being one of the best games of 2024. Today, I'm going to rank all 6 of the major bosses in the game from the worst to the best. My name is James, and I started this channel simply because I love video games. If that sounds like you, please subscribe to my channel so that you can see more videos just like this one. Before I get started, I want to start by saying that I went and replayed all 6 of these bosses for this video. All the clips in this video are my own footage, and I should probably mention that I went and replayed these bosses after already having done everything else in the game. Lastly, if it wasn't already obvious, this video is going to contain spoilers for the different bosses in the game. So if you haven't quite finished Astrobot yet and don't want to have the different bosses spoiled for you, don't watch this video yet. It will still be here when you finish the game. Lastly, I feel like I should probably also mention that even though I'm gonna be calling one of these boss battles the worst, I do think all of these are good boss battles. Our list is probably not gonna be the exact same. That's okay. You are more than welcome to join me down in the comment section and let me know how you would rank the different bosses in this game. And if you want to include some of the mini bosses or the level bosses, you can include all of those as well. With all of that out of the way, let's get started. Coming in last place, we've got the mighty Chewy, the giant gorilla from Galaxy number 1. I don't remember what the galaxy is called. And the reason this one ends up in the last place spot for me is that it mostly feels very introductory. Being the first major boss battle in the game, it kind of sets the stage here for what to expect from the boss battles that we're going to find later on. Also, the power-up that you're given for this boss battle is the dog power-up, and while it's very fun to see Astro running around with a dog on his back, the nature of the power-up just being a dash forward doesn't really lend itself to be a very diversified battle. Up next is Lady Venomara, the giant snake. This one has you utilize the chicken power-up, which is actually pretty similar to the dog power-up, but it shoots you up in the air instead of shooting you forward. And the main thing holding this one back for me is, once again, that since this power-up just kind of shoots you up into the air, there's not really a whole lot that you can do with it that you haven't already been doing in the main game. And the reason that it does get the edge over Mighty Chewy for me is that this one doesn't feel like an introductory boss battle, and the nature of the chicken power-up also just kind of diversifies the gameplay a little bit more, which I like. I should also probably mention here that I think this is the most difficult of these 6 bosses. In the second phase of the battle, where you're on top of the snake walking up towards its head, some of the timing on those chicken jumps can be pretty tricky, and this is actually the battle that, when I was replaying them for this video, I think I died probably 2 or 3 times. Up next is Mecha Leon, the giant chameleon. What I like about this boss battle is that you get to use the slow motion VR goggles, which is one of my favorite power-ups in the game. That's what puts it above the other 2 that I've talked about, is that I just think that's a better power-up. What keeps it in the bottom half for me is that you're really not doing much with the slow motion power-up that you haven't already done yet in the game. Pretty much the entire boss battle revolves around projectiles coming at you, you slowing down time, running around them and hitting something, or stuff coming at you and you freezing time and then jumping on top of them to get somewhere else. I mostly think that this boss battle is limited by the slow-mo power-up just being more of a platforming power-up and not an actual combat power-up. Bringing us into the top half is Falcon McFly, the giant bird. This is the one that I was the most unsure about where to place it on this list. At one point, it was at the very bottom. At one point, it was higher up. But I settled right here because I just like the power-up that you're given, which I haven't said yet, but is the power-up that lets you just turn into a metal ball. What I like about this power-up is that it has multiple different uses, and you get to use a lot of those uses in this battle. So you can use the power-up to become invulnerable to damage, or you can use it to become really heavy and not get blown away in the wind, or you could use it to weigh down a spring that will then shoot you up into the air or something, and all of those cases take place in this boss battle. What keeps it out of the top spots for me is that it is just kind of a very simple power-up, and it's a defensive power-up that does slow down the gameplay a little bit and make it a little bit less exciting than some of the ones further up on this list. Before I give my top 2, if you haven't yet, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. Coming in at number 2 is the Big Octopus. This one, for some reason, I didn't write down the actual name of it like I did the other ones. I guess I didn't think writing down his actual name was important. What makes this one come in second place for me is that it's very exciting. This is the first one that I've talked about so far where you're given an offensive power-up. In this battle, you're given the like boxing gloves, and having a power-up that is more attack focused instead of defense or movement focused means that you can be a little bit more aggressive in this boss battle, which I like. You also utilize the power-up in different ways. You do use it to punch stuff, but then you also use it as a movement device as well. The main thing putting it above all of the boss battles that I've talked about so far is that I just love the fast-paced and aggressive nature of it. Coming in at number 1, and this one probably should have been pretty obvious, Space Bully Nebulax, the final boss. What I like about this boss battle is that it's going to be pretty different every single time you play it. You get to utilize multiple different power-ups, and the power-ups that you get are determined by this like spinning wheel that the boss does. There's also a little bit of precision timing and a little bit of luck involved with getting the power-ups that you want. That if there's a certain power-up that you don't like, you could probably do the whole battle without getting that power-up, even though the boss does cheat a little bit. But one of the big things that I do like about this battle is that it really feels like a culmination of everything that you've learned in the game so far, with all of the different power-ups coming together and using everything that you've learned to defeat this enemy. Additionally, it is a pretty satisfying conclusion after Space Bully Nebulax has been harassing you for a little while now. It's nice to finally be able to put him in his place, and that's why this battle comes in at number 1. Guys, in the comment section, please let me know how you would rank the different boss battles in this game. Until next time, the best way to keep up with me is on Twitter and on Instagram at James_Solar, and on Blue Sky at jamessolar.bsky.social. Thanks, guys.